Fedor said to me, I'm thinking about competing again. What do you think?
Wow, Fedor is coming back. Unbelievable.
Where is he going to pop up? Who's going to sign him? Who's going to compete against him?
Fighting in the main event, the last emperor!
When I hear the name Fedor, I still think of the greatest heavyweight of all time.
You talk about the Mount Rushmore of MMA. He is #1 on that mount.
On New Year's Eve in Japan, the last emperor, Fedor Emelianenko, returns for his first fight in 3.5 years.
When Fedor fights in the main event and it goes black and that Fedor music comes on, man, it's going to be like, whew.
It's a great fight. All of us is on his shoulder.
To a lot of people, that would be too much of a burden. I think Fedor welcomes that.
Чтобы прославить нашу страну, тоже хотят защищать честь нашей Родины. А все остальное вытекает уже из этого. Скучал ли я спорту? Да. Сейчас я рад.
Fedor's gonna fight for the first time in 3 years. It's gonna be a huge event.
Fedor, Return of the Last Emperor, begins now.
Catch you New Year's Eve. Fedor Emelianenko, the winner.
New Year's Eve is going to be electric.
Это старая Москва, как говорится. Я очень люблю старинную Москву. Центр. Москва очень зеленый город.
Fedor loves Russia. I mean, he is definitely all about Russia. I think that's why everyone respects him.
Сейчас будет храм, прям каждые 100 метров храм.
Я думаю, что большинство из них видят как бы в Федоре себя, что ли, свой характер, наверное, русский. Вот. И его скромность, трудолюбие, порядочность.
Fedor Emelianenko is a Russian treasure, a sportsman ahead of his time. Yet it's his character that resonates across the globe. Traits that illuminate a warrior cut from a bygone era. A man that lives his life with classic Russian values and a deep love of country.
Там написано, ее сын болеет, помочь собрать денег на операцию.
Много говорит и получает титульные бои, а кто-то больше делает. Вот Федор относится как раз к тем людям, которые больше делают, чем говорят. Поэтому как бы и такой он человек, ему не нужно много говорить, он может все доказать делом.
He is stoic. He is quiet. He is humble. He is all the virtues that Russians and Russian fighters project.
Заповеди Божьи никто не отменял. И Господь, Он во все времена один и тот же. И я стараюсь жить по заповедям Божьим. Я православный христианин.
Для нас является не только как спортсмен, а как, наверное, пример, мотивация и все. Именно не только по спорту, а и по жизни. И из-за этого его, наверное, русские люди и полюбили. И за его простоту, и за то, что он такой вот человек сам по себе.
Fedor was raised very simple. It wasn't like a privileged life. He didn't come from a wealthy family or anything, and he grew up in Stereosko, where it's a very hard life.
Друзья, школа, учителя, которые меня обучали и воспитывали совместно, конечно, помимо родителей. Те, которые смогли, те, которые оставили след в моей жизни, люди. Ну и, конечно, тренера.
Федор в 11 лет пришел в спортивный класс, который тренировал я. Федор, уступая по физическим кондициям многим детям, но он их превосходил по бойцовским качествам. Именно, то есть, брал характером.
Coach Voronov had far more than a young fighter with potential in his Stary-Oskal gym almost 20 years ago. Fedor Emelianenko ultimately left his rural hometown to revolutionize the mixed martial arts game. From 2001 to 2010, Fedor dominated the sport of MMA with an incredible 28-fight unbeaten streak, a run that included wins over the best talent in the world and cemented his status as one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Fedor, in his prime, was the unquestioned emperor of the heavyweight division.
Fedor was one of the guys responsible for bringing Pride to its heyday. When he turned it on, he was so explosive. He dropped a lot of guys. I think you could make a case for him being one of the greatest fighters of all time because of the guys that he's competed against.
One of Fedor's most memorable moments came in Pride, beating Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira to win the heavyweight Grand Prix title in 2004.
I was sitting ringside watching these wars with Nogueira, and I was just watching Nogueira get punished by Fedor. Like, Fedor would crack him so hard, and from ringside, you would think Nogueira's skull was going to crush.
It was the culmination of a tournament in which he defeated Kevin Randleman in the quarterfinals after an epic comeback from a dangerous head-first body slam.
Oh my God, he just broke Fedor's neck, and Fedor came out of it, finished Kevin.
Fedor proceeded to defend his heavyweight title against some of the best fighters on the planet, including Mirko Cro Cop, Mark Coleman, and Mark Hunt.
Pride was far above everybody else's heavyweight division. Minotauro, Mark Coleman, Cro Cop, Fedor beat all of them.
Fedor was doing more than just dominating the sport. He was winning in a manner that evoked shock, awe, and fear.
The crowd could be going crazy. He would have a dead stare, almost a cathedral calm. There was something so deep within his faith and his mystique that just translates. It still gives me goosebumps to think about it because he was just one of those guys who was just that unnerving.
People were afraid of this guy. He had that Mike Tyson-esque where when he got into the ring, people were like, oh, this guy is going to hurt me.
After competing non-stop since his youth, Fedor retired in 2012 with a record of 34 wins and 4 losses. Regarded as a national sports hero, he took a position with the government, helping advance mixed martial arts in Russia.
Putin is a sportsman himself, so he connected with Fedor and said, hey, you know, you retired, you want a job? And Fedor was like, okay.
Постоянными разъездами, с общением с людьми, плюс работа с молодыми бойцами, это все было на Федоре. То есть 4 года ему было очень тяжело в плане организаторском, чтобы развивать этот вид спорта в России.
It was early in 2015 when Fedor said to me, I'm thinking about competing again, what do you think? And I'm like, is that what you want to do? He's like, I think so, maybe one more time. And I said, okay, 1? He goes, maybe 2, maybe 3. I think Fedor missed competing. And he was like, you know, I think it's maybe time to compete again. So I think, okay, he's got the itch.
He told me, he goes, I had to go ask Vladimir for permission. To me, that's a very unique story, right? Can you imagine if a fighter wanted to fight in America? Listen, hold on, I need to go talk to Obama and ask him for permission to fight again.
With President Putin's blessing, Fedor is now returning to Japan on New Year's Eve with a much larger mission in mind for his sport and country.
Я решил вернуться, потому что желание биться, наверное, у меня в крови. Желание выступать и защищать честь своей страны. Мы еще побьемся во славу России.
When he announced his comeback, everybody was so inspired. Wow, unbelievable, Fedor is coming back.
It took quite a long time for Fedor to decide where he was going to fight.
Did Dana White ever call you?
Традиция русская, он, в принципе, сейчас во всем мире так парят с вениками. Это, во-первых,
Баня для русского человека это радость, общение, расслабление. Ну, просто приятно.
Пытать друг друга будем.
Нам необходимо восстанавливаться, баннер нам помогает в этом.
Fedor is dialing his body back into peak form in preparation for his return to competition. The last emperor's services were in high demand.
It took quite a long time for Fedor to decide where he was going to fight. And there was tons of offers. People know that I'm close to Fedor, so my phone starts blowing up from every little organization to other big organizations calling me trying to get his services. So we discussed all the pluses and minuses of each organization.
Did Dana White ever call you?
No. Нет. Дана не звонил, но представители UFC звонили. А что касается UFC, ну, UFC должно сначала научиться уважать.
Fedor decided to join the Rizin Fighting Federation, a new Japanese organization led by Nobuyuki Sakakibara, the founder of Pride.
It's not just about the money. At the end of the day, Mr. Sakakibara showed Fedor the respect that Fedor deserves.
Поэтому одна из причин, по которой я возвращаюсь биться в Японию, это то, что собирается лучшая команда. Вернулась команда Прайда, организовывает новое большое шоу Rizin.
News of Fedor's first fight back was delivered at Dynamite, Bellator's biggest event of the year, this past September.
Mr. Sakakibara, the founder of Pride, an honor to have you here. What do you have to say for the fans?
On this New Year's Eve, we will have a big event in Japan. Oh, I have one more big announcement.
Fighting in the main event of that night, the last emperor from Russia, Emelianenko.
This is an unbelievable moment. You had a worldwide audience watching. 500 million people, available in 140 countries around the world. And to have Fedor walk down that ramp, I mean, I got goosebumps, man. I mean, seriously.
I will see you New Year's Eve on Spike TV.
Когда я возвращался, в Сан-Хосе, я услышал, что люди рады тому, что начинает существование Rizin, и рады моему возвращению. Было здорово. Я знаю, что в этом зале очень переживала моя жена Оксана.
Первое мое ощущение — это был протест. Конечно, я пыталась говорить, что он же уже завершил свою карьеру и обещал не биться.
A day before Fedor departs for a month-long training trip to Holland, he spends time with family.
Мы находимся на Соборной площади в Кремле. Почему это важно? Это сердце России. Это наша история, это наша святыня.
Конечно, я очень нервничаю. И сейчас, в преддверии нового боя, я даже не представляю, как я переживу это событие.
He comes many times to Holland to do training.
All Russia is on his shoulder.
The grizzly is now coming out.
В Голландию мы едем только для того, чтобы поднять немного уровень ударной техники ногами. Дело в том, что там в Голландии есть хорошие спарринг-партнеры, бойцы, которые выступают в К1.
On New Year's Eve, the last emperor returns to the field of battle. His mission, as a sportsman, as a warrior, now carries an additional challenge.
A big part of Fedor coming back, and especially fighting in Japan for Rizin on New Year's Eve, was the opportunity to bring some young Russian fighters up with him, to open the door for these young guys. So Mr. Saiki Gabara agreed to help these young Russian fighters. They're all going to be on the card New Year's Eve, and you're going to see the next Fedor born, I think, out of Team Fedor.
Это один из этапов подготовки в Голландии. Анатолий и Валентин, также Кирилл и Вадим. Это очень трудолюбивые, талантливые ребята. И они стараются сделать все, чтобы стать настоящими чемпионами. У меня хорошие друзья, у меня хорошие, замечательные отношения с моими друзьями, с Питером, с Хансом, с другими ребятами.
Team Fedor arrives in Amsterdam, greeted by his Dutch coaches. Old friends reunited with the goal of returning Emelianenko to peak form.
He's now 39. The recovery time, it's sometimes is different. Therefore, we do a lot about nutrition.
Because now very short training. Now we need vitamin C.
The grizzly is now coming out. The grizzly will take, and then the grizzly go to winter sleep.
Go.
Что мне нравится, насколько они отдаются общему делу, насколько они уделяют внимание каждому бойцу и насколько они грамотно объясняют технику.
Stretch your hip out. Yeah, last one. One more. Come on, go. Come on. Yeah. Pull. After yellow, one more, then finished.
Five more. I do it. You know.
No.
My brother.
No, we do one more because at 1 o'clock we are training. Yes? Okay. I'm going to striking and kickbox training. Don't stand still. Yes, come on. That's kickboxing style. He like it the most. He comes many times to Holland to do training. After low kick, step back. Come on.
Питер каждую секунду, каждую минуту, каждое движение хочет донести.
It's a moment that we kick. It's important.
Доносит и хочет донести до ребят. Если он видит где-то у кого-то что-то не получается, он тут же стоит рядом.
As a fighter, he's unpredictable. You never know. When you see the Arlovski fight, he was in big trouble for 1 minute and 30 seconds. One amazing punch, and Arlovski was down. You never know sometimes what's happening with Fedor and what he's going to do in the fight.
Fedor's first day in Holland is capped by a 9 p.m. training session with his teammates, Anatoly and Valentin, in the foggy suburbs of Amsterdam.
Сколько вот именно ему нужны острые ощущения. Вот этот где-то почувствовать еще раз мандраж, выйти на ринг, почувствовать еще раз вкус победы. То есть как бы походить по лезвию ножа, как говорится.
Здесь, в Голландии.
Ну, если бы не Федор, я бы, наверное, здесь бы меня не было. А здесь очень интересно, очень. Ну, и мне кажется, я здесь расти буду быстро. Очень хорошие ребята. Спасибо, Феде. Большое. Спасибо, Федя.
It's one of a kind. Maybe once in 50 years. So I think in the next Fedor, they're not born yet. We have to cherish him for a long time now.
It'll be great to have the last emperor back in the game because he's one of the best fighters the sport has ever seen.
Fedor Emelianenko, the consummate Russian sportsman, will be seeking victory once again in Japan on New Year's Eve, for himself and for his country.
It's gonna be a huge audience here. At home, in a bar, in a restaurant, maybe in the streets.
Fighting in the main event.
All Russia is on his shoulder. All Russia is watching this fight.
Чтобы прославить нашу страну. А все остальное вытекает уже из этого.